Okay, there we go.
I'm
Um,
frozen. I'm going to get out and come back in. I'm frozen for some
okay.
reason.
Oh, you
Okay.
are.
My feet are frozen, but that's a whole different
But you do have Elsa colored hair, Mary Lou.
story. Let's see if she can do it. So I want to start with that article Sharon sent because boy, do I wish I'd sent that. Boy, do I wish I'd written that.
That was from Jane. I did
Oh
not
yeah.
find it.
Oh, the sci-fi.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
yeah. I did. Did anybody else get to read it? What makes sense, so much sense to me. I am reading right now. I haven't read a Dan Brown book, Angels and Demons, and what was the what big deal one he wrote that we read at the very
Da
beginning?
Vinci Code.
The Da Vinci Code. So I've
Yes.
not read a Dan Brown book since then. But I picked this one up very recently, I think because it was available at the library right away. And that might say something about it. But I've been enjoying it. It's called Origin, and it's
Hmm.
a story about a fellow who is going to stand up in front of the world and tell them that there is a whole different story. So what he says is that the two questions we ask and science and religion try to answer are where did we come from and where are we going? The question of
Hmm.
origins and the questions of telos. What is the end? Where are we going? So this whole story, besides it being a cat and mouse chase because somebody gets killed, et cetera, et cetera, is this story about um, what if somebody came up with a completely new and different answer? And that article, the science fiction article, I think points us to that what we're doing is putting language, trying to put language um, to those questions which we cannot answer.
Hmm.
Um, and it's not just the written word, but it's also music that tries to address those questions. It's also art that tries to address, I mean, all of the things we do, aren't they all about addressing those questions? Where did we come from and where are we going? Um, and what happens in the in between where, we find ourselves. So, I think that informs our conversation very much about evil, about
Hmm.
the villain, um, in in some very fascinating ways. Um, and who So in this Dan Brown story, it comes down to who has a stake in the answer and what are they willing to do to manipulate
Hmm.
so that the answer is the one they want the world to hear.
And boy, doesn't that describe the church perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the state of our country.
And
Oh,
this,
yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, and this one must be his most recent book or very recent because we've got a huge AI presence in this particular story
Mm.
and social media and how that manipulates the conversation and the reality that people
Mm.
find themselves. Um, yeah. So,
Mhm.
imagine social media in Jesus' time. That would have been an interesting thing. Sharon?
Well, I was just thinking since you said that, I just finished listening to a book called The Siren's Call by Chris Hayes,
Mm,
who, if anybody watches MS now, he's the host of All Things Considered. And no, that's not right. I can't remember the name of the show but he he's talking about the siren's call of our devices, of
Mhm.
social media and um, AI, the coming of AI, and how we might reclaim in terms of it sucking our attention
Hmm.
and how we might reclaim our
Mhm.
attention. And he calls it the siren's call because he opens with Odysseus tied to the mast of the ship
Hmm.
and the sailors putting things in their ears so they don't hear the siren's call, and what the difference is between the ones who put the things in their ears and Odysseus,
Mhm.
who has to struggle against
Mm.
his bonds.
Hmm.
So it was very interesting. And here we are.
And here we are. Well, and I mean, here we are. Here we are in this very particular way of reading the Bible. I am very aware that you all, together with me and others, the others who have joined us over time, are very much interested in reading the Bible as again a way to even capture language that can describe the awesome reality that is true whether or not we have the language to describe it. I mean, I think that's what the church, maybe the Catholic Church, the mistake that has been made in history over time is that they're not interested or willing to acknowledge that there are many stories. There are many ways to tell the awesome story of where we come from and where we're
Yep.
going.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it's only power and control that need to have a single story.
Mm.
Mhm.
You can tell me if I'm wrong there, or tell
I
me if
like that.
there's a
No,
different way
I
of us to see things. But
I think that's right on.
Hmm.
I really do. I think it was a huge mistake early on to fence us in.
yeah, yeah, we were looking at a book in my Bible study last night. One of us, let's see if I can find the name of it. Somebody suggested it has to do with, I mean, heaven has walls. Is that it? Heaven has a wall. Um,
Hmm.
Urgent exploration of borders as sacred objects in American culture. It goes on to say our national conversation about the border has taken a religious turn. When televangelists declare heaven has a wall, activists shout back Jesus was a refugee. For this author, the standoff makes explicit a long-standing truth. Borders are religious as well as political objects.
Mm.
My library doesn't have the book, so I can't get it yet. But
What's the name of the book?
the name of the book is Heaven Has a Wall. And the author is Elizabeth Shackman, Shakman, Hurd, Hurd. I haven't read it yet, so I'm only telling you what we talked about last night in conjunction with we were just finishing up Acts last night in that group. But yeah, I just, I'm just so very curious with Sharon bringing
Mhm.
that article up and, the stuff I love to read
Yeah.
about language and how uh, does language form our understanding of divine, or does divine shape our language?
Mhm. I'm thinking of uh, Eden, the garden,
Mhm.
when Adam and Eve are expelled, and there is a gate guarded by angels with fiery swords. That's a sort of border, is it not?
Yeah,
To
yeah,
keep you in or to keep others
yeah.
out?
Mhm.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, yeah. It's fascinating.
Yeah. Hmm.
And it was guarded even though there was nobody outside.
Well, there's that snake.
Yeah,
Well, at least in that story, yeah. I mean, isn't what would it be like
Hmm.
to have no? I mean, we understand Jesus as the one who goes to the border, the one who crosses the border, the one who not just, borders here on earth, borders between our imagination of heaven, hell, and
Hmm.
I mean, all borders are crossed. That who is who we
Hmm.
know Jesus to be. Uh,
Borders in the temple.
yeah, yeah. So yeah. So how do we
Hmm.
imagine? I mean, and I think that's the story of incarnation, and I mean, it does bring us back to this at least the birth narrative, and that happens here is that border is
It's
crossed.
interesting.
Isn't that the way we think about
Hmm.
incarnation?
Yeah. Yeah.
There is a border that has been crossed from something to humanity, from divine to humanity, from
Hmm.
I'm not even sure I have the language. I've never had the language quite to, to describe that. And we see that border crossed in very significant events. We see it crossed at Jesus' baptism when the heavens open up, right?
Mm.
And the
Mm.
Spirit descends. We see it happen at crucifixion when the heaven opens up and and we hear the noises. We hear all of that when at the Tower of Babel when
Mm.
people are opened up to hear one another. I mean, I think and I think one of the things
Mm.
that then is true is that when do we see Jesus, you and me, right, in our world, in our lives, in the smallness of our existence. We see it when when the heavens, using the language of poetry possibly and song,
Mm.
when the heavens open and we witness the mercy, compassion, and forgiveness um, that is present right here with us. So I don't know what that has to do with evil. What does that have to do with Herod?
Yeah.
I'm not, I'm a little bit.
In the first story, your first question to us was who's the villain? I mean,
Mhm.
it's pretty easy to find the villain in the
Yeah.
first one,
Yeah, yeah.
but not as easy to find the villain in the
Right.
second passage.
Right.
but reading the first one, I was
Mhm.
reminded of a song that Kathy introduced us to, Home by Another Way.
Yes,
And I
yeah,
and
I
I
was
looked
humming
it,
it to myself.
I looked it up and I have the lyrics in front of me. And then there was some commentary about it. And
Oh,
Hmm.
it's kind of interesting. I don't know if
Yeah.
we want to read the passage
yeah.
first or
Yeah.
So which one do you want to,
Mhm.
which,
the Herod one.
the hair,
Who?
then Herod called for the, okay, why don't we, So yeah, why don't we just read Matthew 2, 1 through 18 and remind ourselves of what it says. Anybody can read.
I'll read it. In the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem asking, "Where is the child who has been born King of the Jews? For we observed his star at its rising and have come to pay him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all Jerusalem with him. And calling together all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. They told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for so it has been written by the prophet. And you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, for from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod secretly called for the wise men and learned from them the exact time when the star had appeared. Then he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word so that I may also go and pay him homage." When they had heard the king, they set out, and there ahead of them went the star that they had seen at its rising, until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw that the star had stopped, they were overwhelmed with joy. On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage. Then, opening their treasure chests, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road. Now, after they had left, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, "Get up, take the child and his mother, and flee to Egypt, and remain there until I tell you. For Herod is about to search for the child to destroy him." Then Joseph got up, took the child and his mother by night, and went to Egypt, and remained there until the death of Herod. This was to fulfill what had been spoken by the Lord through the prophet, "Out of Egypt I have called my son." When Herod saw that he had been tricked by the wise men, he was infuriated, and he sent and killed all the children in and around Bethlehem who were 2 years old or under, according to the time that he had learned from the wise men. Then was fulfilled what had been spoken through the prophet Jeremiah. A voice was heard in Ramah, wailing and loud lamentation, Rachel weeping for her children. She refused to be consoled because they are no more.
And all I can think about is and yet we see over and over and over and over
Yeah.
Herod's killing children
Mhm.
because their power is threatened. Paula, why don't you read the lyrics to Home by Another Way, being that it is one of my very favorite James Taylor.
Right. Those magic men, the Magi, some people call them wise or oriental, even kings. Well, anyway, those guys, they visited with Jesus. They sure enjoyed their stay. Then, warned in a dream of Herod's scheme, they went home by another way. Yes, they went home by another way, home by another way. Maybe me and you can be wise guys too and go home by another way. We can make it another way. Safe home, as they used to say. Keep a weather eye to the chart on high and go home another way. Steer clear of royal welcomes. Avoid a big to-do. A king who would slaughter the innocents will not cut a deal for you. He really, really wants those presents. He'll comb your camel's fur until his boys announce they found trace amounts of your frankincense, gold, and myrrh. Time to go home, home by another way. You have to figure the gods, say playing the odds, and go home by another way. We can make it another way, safe home, as they used to say. Keep a weather eye to the chart on high and go home another way. Home is where they want you now. You can more or less assume that you'll be welcome in the end. Mustn't let King Herod haunt you so or fantasize his features when you're looking at a friend. Well, it pleasures me to be here and sing this little song tonight. They tell me that life is a miracle, and I figured that they're right. But Herod's always out there. He's got our cards on file. It's a lead pipe cinch. If we give an inch, old Herod will take a mile. It's best to go home by another way, home by another way. We got this far to a lucky star, but tomorrow is another day. We can make it another way, safe home, as they used to say. Keep a weather eye to the chart on high and go home another way.
Mm.
No, I've never heard it. It's
You
beautiful.
haven't?
No.
Oh my gosh. I like played it every single Epiphany.
Yeah. Oh, and I played every Epiphany, but I went a little deeper. I looked into, I said, I Googled the meaning of the lyrics.
Oh, okay.
And it just says the lyrics warn that people in power can be dangerous. Going home by another way means being smart and avoiding toxic people or bad situations. Meeting Jesus changed the wise men. They could not go back to their old lives or their old routines. Taylor thinks that anyone can be a wise guy. He encourages listeners to learn from their mistakes and choose a wiser path going forward. Steer clear of royal welcomes. This means you should stay away from corrupt leaders who only care about themselves. And it's also a reminder that when you learn a hard lesson, you must change how you live.
Well, as with all prophets, it's it that it describes so very completely the Herods of history and the Herods of the present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's deceit and lies and corruption.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
And picking your way through it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I mean, so I was just reading, I hope all of us had the opportunity to read Michelle Obama's, or either listen to her or read what her speech from yesterday. Um, and again, that message of hope. I mean, if we need to hear a message of hope, she preached it yesterday. That's for darn sure. And I mean, because I think sometimes that structure that the Herods uh, put together, that the people they pull around themselves. I mean, the lyrics to the song say, open it up, see a different way, go home a different way, and yet that Herodian structure just sometimes feels so overwhelming and so oppressive that it's hard to see how to get out of it, how we're going to get out of it, how it can be different.
Just watching the whole thing yesterday, I felt hope for the first time in a
Yeah,
long time.
yeah,
Felt
yeah,
very hopeful.
yeah. Yeah. And the leaders that were present at that,
Yes.
And also cordial and just
Dignified.
dignified. Thank you.
Grace.
Yes.
yeah. Yeah.
No crude nicknames.
Yeah.
And no words just slung as arrows, just
Although Michelle did remind everybody that Obama received the Peace Prize.
That was so funny. I thought Hillary Clinton was going to fall off her chair
Yeah,
laughing.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. 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 So there is always hope in that. Um, I use that word a little lightly. But we have been presented with hope again. I think you and I have been holding on as tight as we can to hope this past piece of time. And are reminded that, we just keep working. We just keep doing what we can do in our places, to continue to kindle, the hope that we have.
Well, maybe we have to observe the star at its rising.
Mm. Yeah.
It's a beautiful phrase, and maybe that's what hope is observing the star at its rising.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Mm.
Hmm. Were you going to say something, Sharon, or are you just thinking?
Oh, no, I'm just thinking. Um,
No. I don't
No,
think the Herods aren't going to go away. Right.
no.
no.
No. Go ahead, Marilyn.
Oh, well, I think Jane wanted to say something. Jane, go ahead. No.
I was
I
going to
was
say the title for this week being The Crown
Hmm.
was kind of I stopped looking for villains, but maybe looking for what villainy does and what a crown means. I don't know. It was an interesting topic, I thought.
what I have been thinking about is how, I mean, yes, we're focused on the national scene, but this pops up at every level.
Mm,
Anybody who's affected by power and control. And I mean, I'm dealing with it right now in my HOA. And I mean, we're 50 little houses and we're dealing with it. Yeah. It just, it's amazing how far down it goes.
mm,
There's there's a little community, maybe half an hour from Janesville, Watertown. And I don't know if you all have heard about it. It did make the national news because the orchestra director at the high school had taught a piece chosen for its musical difficulty as a
mhm,
way to expand his students' abilities, but written by a gay man about in honor of a transgender woman. And so the city council or the
yeah,
board
school
of
cup. Yep.
education, um, said they couldn't play it. They had to cut it out of their concert.
Yeah.
And they had no choice, so they did. But the local ELCA church invited them to come play it there.
Mhm.
And they did, and funds were raised to have the man who wrote it come conduct it, a black
Oh,
man, not many black people in Watertown, Wisconsin. And then I read yesterday, I think, that the Board of Education has decreed that transgender children must use the restrooms and locker rooms of their the gender they were assigned at birth
Mhm.
and play on sports teams of the gender they were assigned at birth. Now, in the first place, I think that's cruel. In the second place, how many transgender children do you think there are in Watertown, Wisconsin, that
Yeah.
you have to make this decree?
Yes.
Exactly.
So
You
here's
know,
the old power thing again.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the crown. That old adage, power corrupts, absolute power
Yep.
corrupts absolutely.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And,
Yeah.
and, and I'm so tired.
Mhm.
In the morning we heard whatever the heck that was that Trump was saying in Versailles. Um, and then thank God there was the afternoon with the Obama
Mhm.
Oh,
because it was like a palate cleanser. And this morning, that whole MOU has fallen apart because Hezbollah and Israel are at it
Yeah.
again.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. The Herods just keep on uh I was gonna say popping up, but it's not even that. It's the Herods just keep on taking power. Um and believing they have the right to do so.
Mhm.
And I mean, Sharon, when somebody says you have to use the bathroom of your birth gender, isn't that the same as killing children? I'm sorry, I think it is. I think it's the same as killing children. That child or young adult or middle school person, whatever, um, is how many times more likely to take their own life.
mhm.
Why do we do that to people?
Yeah. It- this is an interesting tidbit of what's going on in the world. There's a woman whose name, Sarah Singer Tuttle, I think is her name, but I'm not positive about that. For somebody on my Facebook feed must follow her because she kept cropping up, and she's interesting. She's born in the United States. She's Jewish and moved to Israel a, a while ago and opted to remain in Israel. Had something to do with her marriage, which was apparently coming apart, but they all decided they would live in the same country. And she lived in an apartment in Jerusalem in the old city in a stone building from the Ottoman Empire days.
Imagine.
And it was struck by Hezbollah missiles.
Mm.
Who died? The
Children.
Palestinian woman living downstairs was
Mm.
killed.
Huh.
It's just, and the irony seems to be it's not escaping her, but it seems to be escaping a lot of people. And
Yeah.
no one's safe. No one's safe
No one
when
say.
people
Mm-mm.
are so
Mhm.
sure that they
Yeah.
have the answer for everyone.
For everyone. Yeah.
well, maybe they're like Herod. They say, who was frightened? And I think these, people are frightened of
Mhm.
anything that's different from themselves.
Mhm.
No, no, no.
And there's a kind of I think it's a little strange that Herod is sort of the last to get this news that a king had. Well, tell me more about this. You know what? Now I'm in a panic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting that um, Herod was frightened and all Jerusalem with him?
Yeah,
What's that mean?
yeah,
I mean, that seems to me to go beyond
right.
the
Mhm.
um, the leaders of the synagogue,
Yeah,
the temple.
yeah. Well, maybe it's an idea like if Herod is frightened and upset, we're all going to suffer.
That could be.
Yeah.
There,
I think it could be an edit
Oh,
because that would play into the Jews are at fault.
Uh,
hmm,
yeah.
could be. Yeah. And or as Herod goes, so does the.
yeah.
Well, let's look at the other Matthew passage because I think that it expands expands the villain here. Um, so Matthew 14, we are looking at verse 6 through 11.
14? I thought it was 11.
It's
11.
11.
11, 1 through 27.
So that's Samuel. Did we write it down incorrectly?
I may have.
Huh.
What's 11, 1 through 27?
John the Baptist, I think he
Oh,
sends.
Matthew 4.
you're right. I messed it up. It's my fault. I'm sorry.
Okay.
What should it be?
It
I
should
don't
be.
know because I copied it wrong.
Okay. I think
No.
it's Matthew 14, 6 to 11.
That's what it is.
Matthew 14, 6 to 11.
Yeah. Yeah. Matthew 14. So somebody read that one out loud and then we'll see.
I'll read.
Yeah.
But at a birthday party for Herod, Herodias' daughter performed a dance that greatly pleased him, so he promised with an oath to give her anything she wanted. At her mother's urging, the girl asked, I want the head of John the Baptist on a tray. The king was sorry. How far am I reading?
11.
The king was sorry, but because of his oath and because he didn't want to back down in front of his guests, he issued the necessary orders. So John was beheaded in the prison, and his head was brought on a tray and given to the girl, who took it to her mother.
Who's the villain in this one?
Whew.
The mother.
I was going to say, Mama doesn't look so good.
Yeah.
Mom doesn't look so good. Daughter looks a little manipulated.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just curious too about this Herod,
Yeah.
who seems to by now have a little feelings.
Huh.
I mean,
I feel really bad about this.
I've read a lot of commentary about how sexually deviated Herod is in this one. Looking at that daughter and
Mm-hmm.
all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
But in this particular case, I mean, there's that funny sentence that the king was grieved
Yeah.
in verse 9. And it was only in regard for his oath that
Yeah.
he did this. So I mean, I do think that what we have here, this is just me again, that we have the wife, the mother who just is vindictive, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just so Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah.
um, yeah, this is what she wants, and this is what she's going to get.
Mm-hmm.
This
Yeah.
guy's head on a platter,
Right.
and then the king who goes along with it.
Yeah. But hey, it was his birthday.
those his birdies. He could build a cage on the White House grounds.
Yeah,
And have
that's right.
it. Why not?
What part of what I see is someone, it
Mhm.
is about someone who can't admit they're wrong
Mm,
in front of others. It's about redemption, maybe, because he can't say to his guests, no, I can't do this. They can't, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
I'm
mhm.
like,
feeling like he'd look weak.
Yeah.
Well, in the
yeah,
message, it says he was unwilling to lose
Mhm.
face.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 yeah, yeah. So, I mean,
Hmm.
maybe it's the wife who asked for it, but he's as complicit as
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
But so is the daughter
so
Yeah.
is
who
the
Yeah,
can't
daughter.
because she
say no
seemed
to the mother.
old enough to know better.
Yeah.
So, she's been trained really well in this family to be a despot,
Hmm.
to ask for and get anything she wants.
Hmm.
Um, she'll never be the leader because she's a girl, but there you go. She'd be
Hmm.
as awful as the rest of them.
Hmm.
Well, and the guests too.
Yeah, they're all complicit. Yeah, nobody runs forward and says, "Don't do that."
Yeah.
Right? Because
And
why?
then,
They'd be legal protesters and then be thrown into jail anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Catherine. Sorry.
Isn't that amazing what's going on? Oh,
and then when Jesus heard it in verse 13, he withdrew from there in a boat to a deserted place by himself,
Hmm.
Hmm.
just in grief and in prayer.
Yeah. Yeah. So in Matthew's gospel, this is one of the funny things. If you trace, not funny, that one of the things that happens as you trace Jesus going in a boat to the other shore, or however that to the other place. When he gets in the boat, goes across the water and gets to a different place, um, it will always signal margin crossing, border crossing. It will always signal. The that very particular thing Jesus does is to go to, I mean, in this case, he is looking for, as Catherine said, I think sometime, uh, um, and in that grief, and at the same time, he in the text that those words signal that Jesus is crossing a border, that Jesus is doing something completely different now. So he saw a great crowd. He had compassion and he cared for the sick. Um, so Jesus is doing what Jesus does with people that Jesus does it with. It's almost I don't know. Jesus doesn't ever abandon anyone,
Hmm.
so, but definitely putting distance between himself and that king who can do so much damage.
Mm. Yeah.
Well, it's such a difference between the story of Herod
Hmm.
and then you go to Jesus
Yeah, yeah,
and his compassion for the people.
yeah.
It's just such a difference.
And that even God needs to take a little time out sometimes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
In the face of such viciousness. Yeah, yeah.
But that was
Hmm.
true in this. I see, I couldn't figure out quite why we were reading this.
Neither could I, Kat.
This Matthew 11. That's oh, what was this about? Oh,
John the Baptist is in that too.
Mhm.
yeah. But Jesus is reproaching the cities in which most of his deeds of power had been done. And he goes, woe to you to all these cities. And he talks about the day of judgment and about Sodom and Gomorrah. And then he goes into this thing about thanking his father. I thank you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because you have hidden these things from the wise and the intelligent. And then he says that, come to me, all you who are weary and are carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. It's beautiful language and going from this really hard language to this beautiful language. And I thought, it's just so odd. And I thought the evil was, well, I can't remember what I thought the evil was in here.
I when I hear that, what I think about is the freedom that we hear about so much with Paul, that we're free, um, because we can withdraw is not quite the right word, but we are independent and we don't have to follow the crowd. Because I struggled with the idea of freedom all the time. What does that mean? And one of the conclusions that I've come to just for myself is that I don't have to participate in the junk.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I, sometimes think of it in some as similar. To, we are freed to follow Jesus. Um, and we are freed to turn our backs on the principalities and powers.
Right.
Um, it doesn't mean we are free to do whatever we damn well please.
Right.
That's the only thing I know about freedom, that it doesn't mean that. But that it does mean we are free of the principalities and powers. We have all we need to turn our backs on to go home by another way.
So if we don't have freedom to do whatever the heck we want, we've got borders, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
That brings us
it's
back. Go ahead.
especially in this time that we live in, it's easy to find evil
Oh gosh.
in the halls of power.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just doesn't take anything at all. But where do we find evil in our daily lives? Just in the daily lives that we lead.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think that that's a really important, I mean, because I think the call to us is not only the sort of the systemic changes that need to happen, but where you and I think, find hope is in exactly what in exactly Catherine's question. And where do we find evil, however it is um, we're defining that. I tend to define that as a disconnection from the creator, a disconnection from our source, a disconnection from that which loves us unconditionally and gracefully. So when we see evil, how do we respond to that? What do we have in this entire book that we have been reading and reading and reading? What are we equipped with? How are we equipped um, to face the powers of evil, to do what needs to happen in the face of evil. And and some of those days, as we are ready to go, right? We're gonna, and some days all we can do is get back under the covers of our bed and hope for the best. Um, But how do we do that? I mean, I think there's two questions in there. How do we identify? Here we are. The question that we started with
Mhm.
is what does this look like? What is the character of God and the character of evil? And then how are we equipped?
Mhm.
I mean, it doesn't do us much good to read all of this if we don't answer that question too. How are we equipped? Yes, Paula.
Well, I was thinking of a Bible verse and I just looked it up. Romans 8:31. If God is for us, who can be against us?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's, we have he's on our side. He's gonna, I don't know, I can't say it the right way, but um
Yeah.
because God justifies what is good, and we do our best. I'm not very coherent this morning. I'm sorry.
We do our best in this very, very messy world.
Yes.
Jane, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I'm thinking about the verses we just read. So Jesus is distraught about hearing what has happened to John, and he takes action and he doesn't, it seems like he doesn't sit there in that misery, but he goes out and does something good.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But he takes a time out.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I'm thinking about myself personally, and because when I am, and maybe I'm not even always aware, but when I am at the border of making a change, what do? I withdraw.
Take some time.
And
Mhm. Take
so
some time.
he's being human,
Mhm.
and withdrawing.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me.
And that's borne out in a number of stories
Mhm.
where he withdraws by himself
Right.
and takes that time.
Right.
And I like the way you said that, Mary Lou. When he's at the border, when I mean, because I think we are feeling that often when we are at the border. Um, Yeah, it's probably a really wise thing to do to take a wise out,
Mhm.
a time out, to sit in some contemplation, quiet prayer, if you like,
Mhm.
um, and then assault that border.
Yeah.
Well, so many people are afraid of their negative feelings. And
Oh.
I think it's important to allow the negative feelings. You don't have to act on them, but you do need to sit with them, I think. I do.
Mhm.
And so yeah, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think if we sat with big feelings more often, we might not lash out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I think there'd be more peace.
Yeah. And isn't that what we've tried to teach our children, right? To kind of sit with their big feelings,
Right.
to feel them. Well, some of us have done it. Others have just said, "Stop that."
Yeah.
Um,
But sometimes it ends up being do what I say, not what I do.
Mhm.
yeah. Mm, mm, mm.
So the program that we're following, can anybody read what the people what they're saying about this? We can't unless we pay that
Pay that. Yeah,
$75.
until we pay that money. So
Okay.
we're just trusting ourselves to be
Mhm.
wise readers. We're fully capable, aren't we? I think we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've already tested our skills in reading scripture, and that we're not that I don't know that I would say we're really good at it, but at least we know what we need to,
Mhm.
how we
Well,
need to do that.
I mean, I guess it would be interesting to see what Church Anew,
Yeah.
whoever set this up, says, but it's also um, been very interesting to me, and my apologies for sending the wrong one today, but to
Mhm.
try to figure this out ourselves.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think so.
No, I agree. Yeah.
And like I say, I think we have what we need to do that.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're capable. And we can. Our next passage, however, is going to be loads of fun. It's the temptation of
Mhm.
Jesus, the devil, in right there in front of us and in front of Jesus. So it'll be a fascinating one to talk about.
The snake
The
returns.
snake returns. And I am going to be fascinated by all of yours because, I've preached on this a bazillion times. And um, sometimes, I begin to see it one way, and it's always
Yeah.
really wonderful to,
Hmm.
to hear what you guys all have to say about that because it's great. That's great. Thanks, Paula, for bringing James to us today. That's always that's always
Become all the songs that you, the Canticle of the Turning and the
Yeah.
Borning
oh
song.
yeah, the boarding.
Yeah.
I miss those
Oh,
a
that's a
lot.
great one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. I haven't
Beautiful.
proposed those yet, so
Mm.
I will do so. Yeah. Well, and I think I mean, I think that's the case for music, as it is for the written word, and it is for art. I mean, that's how we try and get to the truth. That's how we try and speak our truth. That's in all sorts of ways. I did get to see James Taylor in concert this past.
Oh,
Hmm.
That was really fun. It was
that would have been wonderful.
yeah, it was great fun. Okay, guys, anything else we need?
Have a good week.
Have we
Yep.
decided what's next? Did we decide what's next? Did we decide to go with Brian McLaren or did we
I'd like to go with that.
we
Me
make the road
too.
by
Yeah.
walking? Is that the one we're doing?
That's what we had
We make
proposed.
the
Mhm.
road by walking.
And
Yep.
nobody rose up and said, no, I don't want to do that.
Okay, good.
Okay. So let's make sure that everybody who doesn't have that can get a hold. I don't know if it's in paperback. I would think
It
it's
is. It
paperback.
is.
I have a hardback copy.
Okay,
I think
what
I do
was
too, but I don't remember.
what was it again? Which one?
We
We
make
make
the
the
road
road
by
by
walking.
walking.
Okay, gotcha.
I have a picture with myself holding this book up in somewhere at
Huh.
just like that.
My book is so marked up.
Mine just too. It's yeah.
Interesting to see if the same things jump out of me this
Well, and
time.
I think
Right.
that's what the value is in returning to a book. And like I said, I've taught now with that Acts book, Matthew Skinner's Acts. This is the third time, and now I like have everything underlined, so it's pretty useful.
Like it's
That's
like when we read Inspired for
yeah,
our adult forum,
yeah.
during COVID. That book is marked up all over the
Yeah.
place too,
Such,
and
such a great one.
Yep.
that is so good. I just
Mm.
finished listening to Annie Lamott. Oh God, which one was it? It was very good. Crumb. Where did it was on Audible. It was so good. It was like something about everything, or
Oh yeah.
Everything happens.
For a
no, let's
reason.
see. I'll find it. It's home. Oh, come on, library.
Yeah, I think Audible's library is hard to use. I mean,
I just looked up that we make the road
Almost
by walking.
everything.
almost everything. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Mary Lou.
I just looked up, We Make the Road by Walking for those of us who don't have it.
Uh-huh.
The paperback is only $8.
Oh, good.
All right.
I'm glad to hear that because it
Yeah.
was an expensive book a few years ago in hardback.
Yeah.
I
Good.
have
I
to
can
go.
send a link
Have
to
a great
Thrift
weekend.
Books.
Bye, Gail.
Goodbye, Gail. You too.
Yep.
Take care, y'all.
Bye.
I'll send the Thrift Books link.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can get free shipping on thrift books too. So
Yeah.
that's nice too.
Yep.
Okay, guys.
We'll see ya.
We'll see you soon.
Take care, everyone.
Yep. Bye-bye.